Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9 a.m. Thursday, March 22nd, the day of Sweet 16 for the Nevada Wolfpack. Whoa, wait a minute. It's a Sweet 16 for the Nevada Wolfpack. Woo! That's what I want to hear. That's the way to get started. Our boys are going to get underway here. And without further ado, I'm going to call to order the regular meeting of the Reno Sparks Convention Visitors Authority Board of Directors. At this time, can I have Mr. Murdoch, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Mr. Murdoch. Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Mr. Caroselli?
Here.
Mr. Dillard?
Here.
Mr. Lawson?
Here.
Mr. Lucy?
Here.
Mr. Murdoch?
Here.
Ms. Sheevy? Mr. Sturbins?
Here.
Mr. Wood? Mr. Wowo?
Here. All right, we have a quorum this morning of our Board of Directors. A few announcements to get started. Before we get started, we do have a new addition to our RSCVA family. Obviously, Mr. DeLone is not with us this morning to share these comments, but we have Ms. Corey Carlson with us, who is going to be the new board clerk and also Phil's executive assistant. So welcome, Ms. Carlson. Ms. Carlson worked for the San Francisco Bureau as assistant to their CEO for 5 years. She's lived in Reno since 2006. So a wonderful addition to our RSCVA family, and welcome, and we're glad to have you here. All right, at this time we'll move on to public comment. I do have Mr. Jeff Church signed in. So Mr. Church.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Mr. Church.
And my name is Jeff Church. I am running for the Washoe County School Board, so I wanted to come by and introduce myself. First of all, I asked my wife if I should wear my Padre tie, and she said, well, there might be some Giant fans here, but you'll get the sympathy vote. So at any rate, here I am. I just wanted to tell you a little bit, for those who don't know me, I am retired from Reno PD as a sergeant, and I appreciate those donuts over there. I'll be right over. I'm also a retired lieutenant colonel from the Air Force, and I have 2 college degrees, one with honors, one almost. And I'm very concerned about our students in Washoe County. Number one, student safety is the first priority. That's absolutely number one. With my law enforcement background, and I have applied for the state school safety committee, so I'm hoping to be on that. But that's number one. Number two is fiscal responsibility. We've got to keep the cost down. You've probably read in the paper how the costs have gone from DeMonte Ranch cost $35 million, then they said the next one was going to be $110. Now we're looking at almost $200 million just for one high school. So fiscal responsibility. And then, of course, thinking outside the box to innovative ideas for our students' quality of education. I did used to write, my editor said, never say that word, think outside the box, but don't tell them I said it. But that's what we have to do. We're doing something wrong. We've got to turn that battleship around. So I appreciate if you support me for the Washoe County School District. And a couple of people said, well, I think you're too conservative. And I said, well, look at my opponents. I'm your best bad choice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Church. All right. Are there any, I have no other public comment in front of me. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak during public comment? All right, we're going to close public comment, bring it back to the board. As Mr. Church did point out, there are Doughboys Donuts back there, and today Doughboys is supporting Boys and Girls Club with all their purchases. So eat your blue donuts today, people. There are lots to eat. All right, on to approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
I have a motion. I have a second by Mr. Murdoch. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item D, approval of minutes for February 22nd, 2018 Board of Directors regular meeting. Any changes to the minutes or looking for a motion? I have a motion by Mr. Wowo, second by Mr. Dillard. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, on to our first order of business. We're looking to award the contract for professional management of facilities. Ms. Cunningham, do you want to take us into this item, please?
Yes, with pleasure. And I believe Mayor Sheevy is on the line now.
Good morning, Mayor Sheevy.
Tracy, are you gonna, would
Good
you
morning.
please
How
pull
many
up
of
the
you guys are
PowerPoint?
wearing your Wolfpack gear?
Ah, nice. That's right. We're all wearing our Wolfpack gear. We're very supportive here at the board meeting.
Every single one of you?
Oh, well,
Yes.
yes, every one of us. All of us. Every one of us is in our gear.
I'm going to tweet it out. I'm going to tweet your name out if you didn't. All
All
right,
right.
good. Thanks, you guys. Thanks. It'll be a great game.
All right, Ms. Cunningham.
All right, let me get started. Just a brief overview with SMG and the highlights. Oops, excuse me. The highlights which did bring us to our decision to select them through the RFP process. Number one, they manage more convention centers in the country than anyone else. Important is the fact that they also operate the rodeo, the nation's largest rodeo, and they do have a solid understanding of the equestrian business and many contacts, and that will be very advantageous to us. I do want to acknowledge Lisa Williams, who's a national equestrian director. You met her last month, and also Greg Karen, the executive vice president. It's important to note too, with their holdings in the theaters and the concert arenas, that's a strong advantage for Reno because we're very ideally situated for routing entertainment, and that will help us to augment the existing the concerts that we have and really increase that number. Because of their network of facilities in the West Coast, this propels us to be part of a system of instant referrals for networking for groups that rotate across the country, whether they're conventions, meetings, sports groups. It does put us in a very strong position to be a recipient of groups that come to the West Coast as well. Mr. Karen was indicating to us that they did an audit of the concerts that we had at the Reno Event Center last year, and they looked at the fees that were paid to Ticketmaster because of their preferred fee and the structure that they've negotiated with Ticketmaster. Off the top, based on the number of concerts we had last year, that would be a $200,000 savings for us. So certainly a benefit for our facilities. Finally, the fact that they have the depth of experience on renovations, remodeling, and expansions is very instrumental for us. Immediately, because of the renovation and the remodeling, we can lean on that expertise for all of our facilities. And should this board at some point choose to move forward with expanding the convention center, we have resources that we can lean on, and that will be very instrumental should we move forward with that. Very important, I believe, to note is the endorsements that we've received for SMG, and these are just a few. Obviously, our largest customer, USBC, Chad Murphy, phoned us and also wrote a letter of endorsement supporting SMG, and they have hosted more bowling tournaments other than Reno than anyone else in the country. Had a great letter from the president of Live Nation. We all know Emerald Expositions, of course, that brought us Interbike. They own and manage 50 trade shows, 23 of which meet in Nevada. So to have their excitement and endorsement of SMG holds a lot of weight. And last of all, our local trade show decorators, GES and Freeman, kind of speaking not only from a local perspective, but they do a lot of work around the West Coast and work very closely with management companies. They were very supportive of SMG. All right, let's kind of quickly move on and talk about the contract highlights. If you take anything away from this today, I want you to feel assured that RSCVA continues to maintain control of the facilities. SMG will report to the RSCVA. They take direction from this board through the RSCVA. Please know that we do not lose our control. SMG is our agent. We've met with, in preparing to pull this contract together and the negotiations, we had Washoe County and City of Reno come to meetings with us to discuss the contract. We got input from both entities. We incorporated their comments into the contract, and we feel that they've indicated that they are happy with the contract. We also wanted to assure both entities, Washoe County and City of Reno, and I have Reno Rodeo Association, and there's others, that the contracts that they have, specifically Reno and Washoe County, the contracts that they have with the RSCVA for management of these facilities does not change at all. So we are still liable and responsible, and those contracts are in place and they will be honored by SMG. The extent of the contracts, the term, it goes through January 1st, 2022, specifically to coincide with our contract with the City of Reno for the event center and the bowling stadium. Financial. The management fee of $200,000 includes all 4 of our facilities. We have a quantitative incentive bonus built in, which is capped at $244,000. There's a sponsorship bonus. So as they go out and they try and garner additional sponsors for signage, for naming rights, whatever kind of sponsorship that they can augment our existing sponsorship with, once they get to the cap of, we're at $370,000 is kind of the sponsorships we've been achieving for the last few years. Once they go above that cap, above that benchmark, they'll have a 20% incentive bonus on whatever sponsorship they bring in or bring to the table. But that also is capped at $60,000. There's also a qualitative incentive built in, and we thought this was important so we can monitor and ensure best practices, proper service levels. We'll be pulling together a scorecard of key performance indicators, and this is also capped at 2.5% of facility revenue. And lastly, we have food and beverage revenue. They will be bonused on, they'll achieve 6% of the gross, and will be bonused after for things above and beyond. We've been making about just under $800,000 a year in our food and beverage profits to the RSCVA. So once we hit that benchmark, above and beyond, they'll get 20%, and then RSCVA maintains the 80% remaining. Very important to us throughout these negotiations, and I'm pleased to say that employees were also equally important to SMG. And things that we asked for, it was really nice to hear that they not only embraced it, but they pretty much had these in place. We have 39 full-time employees. All of them will transfer over to SMG. SMG will also be recognizing the built-in seniority of our employees as they onboard them to be SMG employees. So the seniority is important to recognize. Immediately, day one, they will be benefited with their health and insurance benefits. The benefit package we've reviewed, and it's a strong benefit package. Some areas it's even better than what the RSCVA has in terms of health insurance. And they offer a 401k benefit plan. Finally, for us to really work very, very closely with SMG, we have in the contract the oversight and reporting structure. So again, RSCVA maintains control. We'll be meeting with them monthly to discuss operations, to discuss monthly financials. We'll get together on an annual basis as we're budgeting and forecasting to get their input and work with our team on developing an annual budget. And also we'll be working very closely with them on capital improvement plan and recommendations for all of our facilities. We really want to treat all 4 with equal importance because they do, each of them bring something to our community and It's kind of, together the different segments really are what makes our destination strong, and each one of them pull room nights into the destination, and also work with local community groups. So, without further ado, I'm more than open for questions. We've got Ben Kennedy and Robert Chisholm. We've been working with them. Now it's about 3 weeks, every single day, regardless of where Greg and his staff have been conference calling to work through all of these contract particulars. And we feel it's a great contract, and it was a good process in working with them. You guys have been excellent partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cunningham. You know, I just want to make a few comments before we open this up to the board. I believe that, you know, ever since last board meeting when we sat and discussed the approach of SMG, and this board had directed staff to work through the contract and bring the contract back for final approval, SMG has been a phenomenal partner. And you know, I think for where we started to where we got to, it just shows through the contract negotiations and what the final product that we have in front of us today, that they truly have been a viable partner, but not only a viable partner, but a willing partner to participate in our facilities and make sure that we are truly for the improvement of our facilities and that we move forward in the right direction. I think this is going to be monumental in the way we do business here at RSCVA, and just the cost savings alone. If you look at these, the base fee that they have offered, the management fee of just $200,000 is beyond reasonable in regards to the type of work and amount of management that's going to have to go into these facilities and this type of work, and the willingness to participate in, you know, growth of 300,000 plus is just a small incentive of $60,000. These individuals really are looking out for the best interests of Reno Tahoe and what we can do as a community. So I want to thank SMG, Greg, with your team for all the time and effort you've put in over the last month to put this contract together. So with that, I'll open up any questions for Mr. Kennedy, who was a major part in that negotiation and the drafting of those comments. Mr. Kennedy, do you have anything you'd like to add at this time in regards to the contract negotiations?
I guess I'd just echo what Commissioner Lucy's just said. As far as substantively, in the agreement, section 3.2 provides for a hard date, July 1, for SMG to assume management. In the course of, since these materials have been posted, there have been some discussions, and so we'd offer for the board's consideration, if it elects to approve the contract today, that we give Mr. DeLone the flexibility to change that date as necessary, as in if SMG can take over sooner. There's a transition period. If they're in a position to take over before July 1, we'd like to give Mr. DeLone the authority to approve that. But otherwise, no other comments, and if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. So if we were to extend it or give Mr. DeLone that leverage to be able to move him up in date, will that extend the amount of time that they have, or will that shorten the end date of the contract, or will that remain the same?
No, it would remain the same.
Okay.
So it'd be that fiscal year. So right now it's July 1. There have been discussions, and correct me if I'm wrong, that maybe closer to June 1 for a takeover date. So we're talking maybe a month.
Mr. Dillard.
Could I pose a question to Greg? Is that
Absolutely.
possible? Yes. Good morning, Greg. How are you?
Supporting local economy and local teams. Great, Karen. Happy to answer.
I really didn't have a question. This was a ploy to get him to put his T-shirt on.
I'm just trying to get a donut.
My question for you is obviously possibly a little bit preemptive, but out of curiosity, if the contract is voted for approval today, in terms of events at the event center, do you have any time frame in your head of how soon you might expect to be able to be adding additional events to where we are today?
I'd be presupposing my colleague who was actually here last time and couldn't make it out this time. We had a little bit of snow in the Northeast again this week, so I was lucky enough to be in southern climes to get here. In the entertainment space, I will say in general, and again, Mr. Murdoch, anybody in the casino world knows, the entertainment window can be as short as 90 to 120 days. So, actually, truth be told, I think that Jim McHugh is the gentleman I'm referring to, who heads our entertainment division, has been having email contact with Steve at the event center about a couple of opportunities that are on the table right now. So, to the chairman's kind remarks, and thank you, Commissioner Lucy, we're vested in this regardless of whether we're on board or not. So I guess, I don't remember what event or events they were talking about, because I'm a convention center guy and he's an entertainment guy, but we're talking already about new events that would be coming in the next, thinking 3 to 6 months, I don't recall the detail.
That's great news. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard. Any further comments? Mr. Caraselli?
Move to approve item E and execute the contract with SMG.
All right. And Mr. Caraselli, could you make sure that in your motion, or would you be willing to put into your motion the flexibility for Mr. DeLone to execute the contract as needed, the flexibility to execute when he needs to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Put that into my motion, please, Ben.
All right.
Thank you.
I have a motion for Mr. Carey, a second for Mr. Sturbins. Any further comments or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Congratulations, SMG. Thank you very much.
At this point, if you would indulge, we'd like Mr. Karen to come up and just say a few words to our board.
Yes. Now, Greg, you have to put the shirt on to actually speak.
I thought about that and I thought I might mess my hair.
No, okay.
And then there would only be one in place, so. Look, it's been no secret. I've made this clear to everybody that I've met in town. I have been tracking Reno's progress for a solid 20 years, in and out of the market, both for personal reasons and professional, and it is extraordinary where this city has come. And we have, as a company, we've been a part of many other extraordinary stories. You know, cities like Cleveland and Detroit and Providence that have all, had times in the past and have come out extraordinarily. I was just in Detroit last week, and it's a new convention center and it's a new city. And you guys have so much trajectory already going that there is a personal involvement for all of us, and for Lisa, my colleague on the equestrian side, and Jim, who I spoke of before on the entertainment side, who's rooting talent around the Western region already. My other colleague, again, he couldn't get out of Denver. He wanted to be here for the meeting as well. But let me share just three key elements that I want you to take away, and I think Jennifer hit on all of them. For us, it is first and foremost about fiduciary. We are nothing more or less than a subcontractor to this authority. And what Jennifer said is exactly correct. You have absolute ultimate control over what we do, ultimate decision making. The best we can do is do our best job to manage things, market things, and make recommendations for your staff and your board where appropriate approval. We never could or would do anything that is on our own or half-cocked or without the blessing of the appropriate parties. My mention about working on entertainment already a few weeks out, my personal philosophy for the company is that we have to start working on our renewal the day we start our contract. Again, we're not in a world, because of public sector, and as Mr. Kennedy knows, we are restricted by how long our contracts can go. So if we start a contract and we're only 4 years away from a renewal, we got to earn that every day. And we'll do that with you, with your staff, and with the staff of the building. So that's fiduciary. The accountability is the same thing. Everything will be reported on thoroughly. Everything will be transparent. Every one of the ownership interests of these venues will be fully informed through the authority and through our reporting to them. The most important element to me is the human side of it, and this is for the staff, those 39 people. And I've said this I was talking to Jeff Jensen in procurement earlier this morning when I bumped into him in the hall, and I start thinking about the staff who usually will look at me, again, a little bit half-cocked, and who's this guy and what's this company? And I get that. I mean, these people have had careers that they've built up here, but what we're going to offer to them beyond the benefits, beyond a good pay and good benefits and everything else, is they're going to be a part of something bigger. They're going to be going, as if you're in the hotel business, and many of you are, as I spoke about, I think, at the last meeting, when you have major casinos, you can be more of a standalone, and forbid me for using the words ma and pa, but to be a family operation in the casino world is a lot more viable than to be a family operation sometimes in the mid-level hotel world, the 200 and 300 room hotels that tend to be affiliated with Hilton or Starwood or Hyatt. And all of the employees here are going to have instant access to a peer group that's going to cross 5,000 full-time employees and 50,000 part-time and be a part of something bigger. They're going to go to training meetings. They're going to have people coming here. And the last quote I'll leave you with is my colleague at McCormick Place, which was a venue that I thought would never, I just didn't think, it was just too big. It was too big an authority, too big a machine, and actually did an extraordinary job for many, many years. And their move to engage professional management was a legislated move and really had to do with other issues. with labor issues and cost and value issues for the destination. And they engaged professional management more as a guarantee to the clients that things would really change in Chicago. And our general manager there, Dave Costin, was the incumbent there and stayed on with us. And he was the first to say, he said, you know, we do things very well at McCormick Place, and they did, but everything that they knew from inside their four walls. So imagine we come in with 76 other convention centers, and we'll bring something out of your buildings that we didn't learn before, and we're going to bring to you 76 other venues of operations that we're going to help cross-pollinate the expertise and the professionalism, give more expansive careers to the folks that have worked here all these years. So I thank you for your vote of confidence. This is personal for me. And for our company, on behalf of our CEO, Mr. Wesley, we are very, very excited to come to Reno. Thank you. Reno, Tahoe.
Mr. Cairns, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to come and be with us today, along with your team. We look forward to a wonderful relationship with SMG as we move forward here at the RSCVA, and nothing but continued growth. So
Thank you, Commissioner.
thank you for your time. All right, seeing nothing further on that item, we'll take it to RSCVA staff update.
Okay.
Ms. Cunningham.
It's my pleasure. Let's take a look at the scorecard. Where is my copy? There we go. Unfortunately, Mike Larragetta got a phone call last night from a buddy of his that there were a couple people that were going to the game in Atlanta and had tickets and canceled. So I got this crazy call from Mike saying, Jennifer, please, please, please. So he is on his way to Atlanta, the dog. Anyhow, so I will touch on his highlights for the meeting today. First off, at the top of the scorecard, we have two. Look at the one that says year to date, January 2018. Visitor volume, we're up 5.6%. Kind of go down to the market performance, cash occupied rooms. Cash room nights up year to date, 5.9%. And this next number is the most significant. Taxable revenue, the hotel revenue that is coming in right now is up year to date through January, 13.9%. That's amazing. So the community is doing well, not only in terms of occupancy, but also in terms of the ADR for the properties. If you go back to the scorecard for January, Mike's area, so go down under the strategic priority plan number 2, direct room night growth. With convention sales, they have gone, for the month of January, gross produced room nights, they produced 23,000 room nights in January. That's against their goal of 16,000, so that was doing well. Convention room nights produced represented 22,781 of the 23,000 for the month, with the remaining room nights, 140 and 200, 140 fell into sports, 200 fell into bowling. We had 25 definite group bookings for the month of January. And our flashcard that should be at our space with looking at February, this report, for February, they produced 21,103 room nights, which is just about the same as their goal, which was 21,055. Through February of 18, it's not on this sheet, definite room nights equal just shy of 200,000, 199,553 on their annual goal of 260,000. So they are currently at 77% to go for February. When we look at pace for the 8 months of the fiscal year, room nights of 199,553 that we have on the books versus the goal of 134,716. Right now, the pace is 148% ahead of pace. They're pacing quicker than they are, so Mike wants me to assure you that he has every confidence that they're going to be surpassing their goal of 260,000 for this year. With that, I'd like to turn it, if you have any questions, I can try to answer them for you. Can't answer how Mike's doing right now because we're all jealous that he's on his way. But I'd like to turn it over to Art to touch on the tourism, what they're doing with tourism sales.
Thank you, Jennifer. So I'll give a quick little update on where we are on our room night production for tourism, but also give you a little update on where we are with PHG consulting for our China programming. So for the month of January, we saw increases in 3 of the 6 measurable marketing tourism market segments. Those increases occurred in travel wholesaler, online travel agent. Travel agent continues to perform extremely strong for us. And then where we saw the decreases, those are seasonal decreases. But year to date, we are trending very well. In 5 of our 6 categories, we're at about 90% to goal year to date. So we're performing well. And then keep in mind also that we're now tracking 11 properties instead of 8, and we'll catch up in July of this year. A little update on PHG. The PHG team was here for a destination audit. They were here February 27th through March 2nd, and they visited 10 properties and experienced everything that our destination has to offer. And they're going to take those findings and go back now and finalize our strategic plan. The plan is going to help us grow the group and series business and also cultivate the fast-growing FIT, or Free Independent Traveler market segment. The team has already vetted and provided us with key tour operators and travel agents to meet with at tourism-based trade shows like IPW and Active America China. And in fact, the PhD team is going to be at IPW with us to help us with our tour operator appointments. And we're going to be conducting a destination FAM post-IPW at the end of May. I just found out yesterday that PHG has uncovered a new piece of business coming to Reno. They've yet to book their properties, so we'll be reaching out to our properties later this week. But it's a small group, but 6 groups of 40 people. But if you do the math based on our visitor impact study, you know, that almost pays for PHG's fees for 1 year, just in one small group of 6 groups coming with 40 people each. Right now, what we're doing, we're working on some infrastructure in China. The first thing that we're doing is we're building our Mandarin website. So we're working on that, and then we'll be building up to our social media programs and tour operator contact lists for all of our properties. Oh, and I would like to show you our destination video, which we have translated into 6 languages, and this is one has been translated into Mandarin. Thank you, Tracy.
通往山顶的道路绝不可能是坦途真见鬼，不如说根本没有路。这里也不是为跟风者、从众者、随大流者准备的，不，成就伟大的事业需要伟大的抱负。虚怀若谷，看得更远，做得更多，成就更大。无限风光，只献给那些回应险峰召唤的勇者。严于律己，无所畏惧，奋勇争先，臂力坚韧于无限沙海之上，才能体会反差之美的冲击。新与旧，传承与进步，野性与文明。这里是碰撞激荡之地，在这里，美国最大的高山湖泊遇见世上最大的渺小都市，在这里一切皆有可能。如果你仍在追寻梦想，也具备攀登险峰的坚韧，无怨无悔。尽管质疑声从未断绝，他们说你叛逆，说你不守规矩，说你铤而走险，但烈马绝不屈服于缰绳。你生来出类拔萃，去尝试新的冒险，去创造新的奇迹。明日复明日，明日何其多。今天就踏上旅程，会当凌绝顶，一览众山小。现在看看，是谁笑到了最后。
And by all early reports, this video does resonate very well in China. Any questions? Thank you.
And now I'd like to turn it over to Esther to touch on what we're doing in marketing.
Thank you, Jennifer. I think that was a good segue into the first thing I wanted to announce to this board, that the RSCVA received 17 awards from the American Advertising Association. The big one, very heavy, was for the overall best of show for the Addies, And it was for the Great Contrast campaign, which of course included that video. And you see some of the other trophies we have here. And I think we have some books that we're going to pass from the programs to peruse at your leisure. These awards go on to a district competition and then on to a national competition. And we have full confidence that we'll get some good awards from that as well. In front of you also is a couple samples of some recent PR that we got from the Washington Post and Barron's. That's all through the work of Decker Royal. Another thing I'd like to announce is a partnership that we're forming with Big Truck Hats, as you all have received, is our branded Reno Tahoe hats. And as of yesterday, we're starting a partnership with them. They're going to be selling our hats on their website. Linked to our website as well, of course, and we're going to be doing some fun things with them, including a video of them producing and fabricating our hats, and including their CEO. They really feel that it's a good tie-in. The whole fun first is their tagline. It works very well with ours branding concept, so we're really excited about that and where that's going to go. Lastly, you'll see in front of you as well is the legendary events. This is to encourage locals to bring their events and their association partnerships, whatever they may have, to our community to help bring additional group business into the market. So if there's any questions, I'll turn it back over to Jennifer.
And I just want to,
Mr. Murdoch.
As you have, I remember that Squaw Valley used to use Johnny Mosley to the max. How are we going to do it with David Wise? So is RSCVA reaching out? Because he's very powerful right now.
right.
Yeah.
We were very, we had some great foresight in using him to be a spokesperson for our Interbike pre-roll stuff that we'll be sending exhibitors. And also he did a bit for us for Safari Club that we'll be sending out to expand the participation at Safari Club. His price tag just went through the roof, but we're still talking to him about leveraging it. So,
I mean, he's a Worcester High kid. I mean,
it's a natural. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just wanted to point out, you may recall that we did do a sponsorship with the air races in terms of their show on, it's CBS Sports Network. Is it NBC? Sorry, Sports. These are episodes from the previous air races. They did really well last year. We have a commercial or a couple commercials in it. So it has the dates of the show, the airings for you guys to take a look at. And last but not least, just wanted to tell you that Marilee Mora and the airport team will be coming to our April meeting to kind of give the board an update on what's going on there. They have just a great story to share with everyone. The numbers are very strong with the airport. Just this last January, year over year, passenger counts were up 97%. And we did see a growth for that month in seats into the market of 10.8%. And I'm not going to take away the thunder that she's got for her presentation, but they have wonderful statistics to report with us. So things are going well there too. Thank you.
Fantastic. Mr. Chisholm? Nothing to report today? All right, Ms. Neal, no? Okay. Well, a couple things I want to add too is that, we have a couple events coming up. Actually, we just had one at the convention center. The Mary Kay convention was here in town, and I got a personal, somebody who attended my commission meeting the other day, come up to me and was a friend of a staff or a family member of a staff member of Washoe County, who'd come up to me and had such raving reviews about the convention center and the service that they got at the convention center, that they're, this is one of their smaller regional meetings that they have. I think they had somewhere, of maybe 500 attendees, or not very a big conference, but they were so pleased with the attendance here and the service that they got that they're going to start pitching, bringing larger conventions here to Reno because of the service that they got at the convention center and through our properties here locally that they stayed at. They had such a wonderful time. So that was good to know and good to hear that once again our staff went above and beyond, even for a small group that's 500 people, but has potential for massive growth for us. So that was wonderful to hear. Another big thing that we have coming to the area is the National High School Mock Trial in 2018. It's the first time this event has been held in a small venue, small city like Reno, in regards to size and comparison to they usually hold it in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., many major urban areas across the country. 30,000 students will participate in this mock trial event over a period of a week or two. They're going to work with our Second Judicial Court. Most of our judges will be participating in this as jurors and judges for these mock trials. It's put on by the Nevada Bar Association, but once again, continuing to add more events to Reno Tahoe. I mean, even small events to big events to educational and sports events. Things are growing here in Reno, and I think it's a testament to the work that our marketing team has done. It's a testament to what our sales and tourism team has done. Obviously, with the addition of our operations and our current operations and our staff, things are growing, and we're seeing a transition to more events and more people and it's really we're lending our region to the capacity. And I think it means not only benefits for our area and the people who live within and visit it, but for all of our properties that participate and for all of our businesses here. So I want to thank staff again for all the work that you've done and all the time that you've put into these events, and look forward to continue to add as we move through it. So any further comments on the RSCVA executive staff reports or anything like that? Mr. Dillard.
A little bit of a tangent, but I think pertinent to kind of the topic. I was at an event last week, and I know some of the folks in the room here were at the same event, and they were talking about the growth of Reno. And a lot of us in Reno are feeling the migration from California, where it continues to get more and more expensive, and the comparison was made to, as you've heard before, us becoming the next Silicon Valley. And the statistic that just blew me away was that they now say that if you live in Silicon Valley and your average median income is below $105,000, it's considered poverty for Silicon Valley. And so obviously those people just can't get out of the area quick enough and are migrating this way. And I mean, it gave me a lot of optimism. I mean, to some degree that's a little bit scary, because those folks are going to come quick, and we have a lot to be prepared for. But it's just a statistic that blew me away, and I share it every time I can now. It's just crazy.
True story. I mean, and we're feeling the crunch on every side, you know, and it's a challenge for every local group. But I think from RSCVA standpoint, we've done a phenomenal job in making sure that we are prepared to market our area and continue to serve our tourism as they come here, and our convention and visitor as they come to our region. But we're going to look at some challenges in the near future for all of our entities, and I think as we continue to grow, we want to continue to be, from this board standpoint, making sure that the quality of life is still there, and that we're still supporting the quality of life and doing what we can to make sure that our residents are happy, healthy, and smiles on their faces as they continue to exist here. Mr. Lawson.
Just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, I've been reading some articles lately about California and the disappearing middle class. It's you'd be ultra rich or you're ultra poor in California these days. But the reason why a lot of these folks are moving to us is just from the median housing prices. Our median housing price is around $247,000 for a home. In California, it's $550,000. So you automatically save half on your house by moving to Nevada, plus you save your taxes. So they're coming. As the jobs keep coming, we're going to have them, and we're going to have some major growing pains coming here very shortly. Well, we're having them now, but it's going to get worse, and our homeless problem is an issue, and we addressed that at the last RSCVA meeting. We're going to be addressing it more. We've just formed a new board on homelessness in the area, and we have our first meeting coming up. So I'm excited for the growth, but I'm also cautious about what we're getting to. A lot of that bad habit comes too from from California.
Mr. Murdoch.
I think it's very, it's what's really rocking. I mean, if you go to any other community, you're paying $150 a night. I don't care if it's Stockton or anywhere. So I think we're coming of age for our product.
Yes, and what I hear from many of the non-gaming properties, they are getting that.
They're getting it, yes. I'm just saying it's good for us as a unified to see everything, the votes rising.
I think this board sat here 2 years ago. I remember the conversations, you know, very vividly, that we all decided as a board and as a group that we were all going to come together and unify with an idea of, with a rising tide, all boats float. And I think we've really lived true to that, and we're seeing that. We're starting to see the benefits from a unified idea and a unified marketing plan, and working together, all properties, everybody having the same, we're all rowing in the same direction. We're not seeing siloed challenges anymore, and everybody's benefiting. You know, everybody's ADRs are up, our you know, occupancy is up, and I think we need to continue to push for those types of mentalities and that kind of momentums as we continue into the future. So with that, if there's no further discussion on the Reno Sparks Convention Visitors Staff update, we'll move on to board comments regarding future items. One thing I'd like to add to, since today is Thursday, March 22nd, Nevada Wolfpack is playing in Chicago Loyola, and this afternoon from 4 o'clock, I think is tip-off, in Atlanta, Georgia. RTC will be offering free rides, free transit for anybody within the city from 2 to 8 p.m. tonight. So if you're going to go out and enjoy the game, please participate. Be safe. Don't drive if you're inebriated. We have lots of wonderful places to go and visit and watch the game today. So get a free ride, make sure you're safe, and participate out there. And then one other thing before we leave, if I could get all the board members to stick around after the end of the board meeting, I just had a short thing that we need to take care of. But with that, is there any other board comments? Mr. Murdoch, do you have anything? You just want to keep your mic on? Okay. All right. All right, seeing no other board comments, I do have public comment. I have Mr. Jeff Church signed in one last time. Mr. Church, the floor is yours, sir.
I'll be very brief. I wear many hats in the community. I used to serve on the board of a homeless center, 501c3, and I ran the Reno Police Department's homeless program. I do have a plan. I've studied in California, and I have all their plans, which don't work, throwing money at the problem. Real brief, my cards are up there if you have any questions about the homeless, and I have a PowerPoint on how we can mitigate the problem. We're never going to solve it, but we don't want to become like San Diego or like LA. So feel free to look at the card and send me an email, and I'll send you the PowerPoint. We do have a good plan to try to mitigate the problem and get some of them situated elsewhere.
Thank you, Mr. Church. Any other public comment at this time? Seeing none, we are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.